Hi, Dan. Meow. Where you going, Dan? Hi. Ha ha ha. Hi, it's Jennifer McCreath. Little cat interlude before we start the video here. I'm trying to get a little more light on. Geez, the lampshade almost went flying there. Gee, we're off to a great start tonight here. It is June 7th, 2012, and I want to talk a little bit about last night's vote. Bill C279, second vote, second reading. Federal Government, Canada. An act to amend Human Rights Code, Criminal Code of Canada, to include gender identity and gender expression, the transsexual rights bill, basically. The vote passed, 150 votes to 132 votes. Been a lot of talk about this since last year when a similar bill passed through the House, only to die on the Senate table, who was inept at the time. Interestingly enough, massive support for this bill from all but one party. I guess first and foremost, we had 282 votes cast out of 305 members of Parliament. This vote took place at the end of a very long, busy day in the House. I believe it was around 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So thank you for all those MPs for sticking it out and casting a vote in this thing. Noticeably absent was one Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, who did not either. I don't know if he was even in the House or not, but he did not record a vote according to the parliamentary website, which essentially means he did not vote no, which is kind of something we can perhaps take away from that. Every single NDP, Liberal, and Bloc Québécois who voted yes. The lone Green Party member, Elizabeth May, also voted yes, and there was an independent. I'm going to open my website here because I can't remember that individual's name. Independent candidate, for those of you who are not familiar, are members of Parliament who are not formally registered or affiliated with political parties. Thank you very much. Independent candidate. Where is it? Bruce Hyer, H-Y-E-R. Only 3 Bloc Québécois voted yes. 0 of them voted no. So, again, I don't know how many people abstained from voting and how many people just weren't there. I want to talk about, I guess the swing vote, as we call it, is Conservatives. 15 Conservatives voted yes in this bill. And without that, this bill probably would not have passed. A lot of effort has been made by the trans community of all political stripes to encourage Conservatives to support this bill. Not necessarily meaning they support the whole thing, but to allow it to progress to the next stage where we can have further discussions. Conservatives who voted yes. Some prominent names, some not so familiar. From all over the map, a lot of Western of all things. Chris Alexander, Ajax, Michael Chong, Wellington, John Duncan, Vancouver Island, Kerry Findlay, British Columbia, Jim Flaherty, the Finance Minister, Whitby, Oshawa. Good for you, Jim. If you don't want us to be on EI, you better give us human rights so we can have fair access to employment. So good on you for at least voting for this tonight. Shelley Glover from St. Boniface. Laurie Hahn from Edmonton Centre. There's a interesting part of Canada. Gerald Keddy, South Shore, St. Margaret. That's where my first home was, and that's the same neck of the woods where my father lives and has lived for many years and actually served as a member of Parliament. I won't get into the interesting stories between my father and Keddy, but thank you, Keddy, for voting for this. Kathy McLeod of Kamloops, BC. Lisa Raitt, or is it Rat, from Halton. She was in the news lately about her public struggle with depression. Good for you, Lisa. Michelle Rempel of Calgary. Bruce Stanton, Simcoe North. That's Simcoe, Ontario. Bernard Trottier of Etobicoke Lakeshore. I lived in that riding for, God knows, 14 years. Bernard Valcourt. There's a real name out of the past. He's been around a long, long time, and I sent Mr. Valcourt an email, actually, 2 nights ago. Mr. Valcourt was in Parliament at the same time my father was in Parliament, and I thought that a little friendly email to say hello might make a little bit of a connection. Don't know if that played a role in him voting yes, but thank you very much. The lone Conservative New Brunswicker to vote for this bill, and David White of Kootenay. Prominent no's. I want to talk a little bit about some others. My goodness, Peter MacKay. There's a name that goes way back into Nova Scotia politics. His dad, Elmer MacKay, was a member of Parliament for decades, literally. When my father was a member of Parliament, Elmer MacKay had an office just I think 2 or 3 doors down the hall, and for the 4.5 years my dad was in office, I went to Ottawa many times and often met Elmer MacKay and said hello, and he kind of got to watch me grow up. And here's a really interesting story. I'll put it out there. Elmer MacKay at one point in my life was a guarantor on my passport picture, and ironically enough, many years later, I have an airport incident because of my transsexualism where my passport identity was being questioned. And Peter MacKay, I'm quite ashamed and disgraced that you would vote against this bill. A lot of history between your dad and my dad. I'm disappointed. I wrote Peter MacKay an email. He did not respond to it, and I'm going to have more to say about you, Peter MacKay. Don't worry. There's more videos coming up. There's a lot of other issues here in Newfoundland where your name is all over the media, and you're looking pretty bad. And you've just added one more critic, a thorn in your side, who's going to really be coming after you with some comments. So stay tuned on that. Shame on you, Peter MacKay. You're pathetic. How's that Belinda? What's her name? How's that going for you, by the way? Julian Fantino, a former police chief of the city of Toronto, does not feel transsexuals deserve human rights. Diane Finley. What the hell? She was in the news. I think she had something to do with the unemployment, actually, to be honest. Jim Flaherty's the budget guy. I had it mixed up there, sorry. Finley is the one that wants to limit unemployment insurance. Now she doesn't feel transsexuals should have equal access to employment by virtue of voting no on this bill. Brian Jean, for McMurray, Athabasca. Well, I went to school in Athabasca, not physically, but I got my degree there. Disappointing in you. Peter Kent, former Global News person, does not feel trans people. Denny LaBelle is the individual who oversaw the creation of the policy which bans transsexuals from flying on airplanes. He doesn't feel we deserve human rights either. Screw you, Denny LaBelle, you're pathetic. Bev Oda, oh my goodness. I mean, it really disgusts me when visible minorities and women, particularly, two groups that have fought for human rights for many years, and now they're turning their back on others who are still fighting. Bev Oda is a Japanese Canadian. She was also in the news lately because she ran up a huge tab at expensive 5-star resort hotels and limousines on the taxpayer. Bev Oda, that is absolutely pathetic and disgraceful, and for you not to support this bill is equally pathetic and disgraceful. Shame on you, and by the way, shame on the people who voted these people into their seats, because that is ridiculous. Peter Penashue, hope I pronounced your name right. Labrador, the lone conservative, federal conservative seat in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. There's another minority, a native Inuit. I honestly don't know. I wrote him an email, and obviously that didn't seem to help. He's been in the news a lot lately too because of the Burton Winters tragedy, a young boy that got, I guess, lost while on a snowmobile and went missing, and nobody wanted to come and help and rescue him. Not the federal government, not the provincial government, and the poor boy ended up dying of, I believe, hypothermia. People up in Labrador, you get what you vote for. Shame on you. Gail Shea, she got pied in the face a couple years ago by PETA over her support of the seal hunt. Gail, you've essentially thrown a pie in my face by voting against my human rights, so I don't advocate violence, but I'm kind of glad you got that pie in the face because I think you deserve it. You're pathetic. Vic Toews, he wants to spy on everyone, but he doesn't want people spying on him. Shame on you, Vic Toews. We already know you're pathetic, so I don't need to really add into that. Ted O'Pitt's, Etobicoke Centre. There's another riding I lived in for many years. This O'Pitt's candidacy and seat has been challenged and lost in court. Boris Wierzniewski, the Liberal, came within a few votes of winning that seat. And now, apparently, there was a scandal where there was some irregularities in that. I don't even know why he was allowed to vote. He shouldn't be a member of Parliament. My understanding is he's going to be thrown out and there's going to be a by-election, and I think he's going to lose. Moncton, Robert I can't speak it. Goguuen. It's no secret that one of my best friends lives in Moncton, a transsexual, literally having sex reassignment surgery under her own purse. And I wrote Mr. Robert a letter about this, and he obviously doesn't seem to give a damn about that either. Meanwhile, in his writing, there's government money being given to religious non-sanctioned schools, the Crandall scandal. Google that, folks. Shame on you, Robert Goguuen. You too are pathetic. Rona Ambrose did not vote. Interestingly enough, there's someone who I guess has had some controversial attention in the media. Where do we go from here, folks? We gotta work hard at trans people. We've got to overcome the fears. It's a free vote, but realistically, nothing's free in the House. People are tied to parties. They are compelled, not necessarily obligated, to vote on party lines. They vote with their heart and soul, but they also vote with their constituents. Education and awareness is what we need. We need it to be politically correct for citizens and politicians to see us as human beings so that we will be recognized and given the same rights as everyone else. Randall Garrison, I talked a little bit about you on my last bill and how you've made some potential damaging proposals to change the bill. I also questioned if you were engaging the right stakeholders. I think you are not. You're engaging trans people in Toronto and a few in Ottawa who represent very controversial organizations, I might add, and there'll be more time for me to talk about that later. I really hope you start engaging the rest of Canada. It's not trans people in Newfoundland and Moncton. We're getting screwed over here, more so than in Ontario, and you don't seem to give a damn about us. Yeah, I'll put this out there right now. I'm contemplating leaving the NDP party over this. If this doesn't go in the direction it needs to go, you can kiss my support goodbye. So think about that. Anyway, I thought this was going to be a tirade, but I'm just too exhausted, so it's probably good. I'm speaking openly from the heart. Naturally very upset and disappointed at some of these people. And I took it personally. I felt really upset and disgusted all day. I got the news first thing in the morning, saw who made the votes for what, and it just sort of ruined my day. To think that these people consider me subhuman and unworthy of rights is just... There's no greater slap in the face than to have your political representatives spit in your face. Likewise, all you people that voted for these conservatives, and all you people that didn't vote, you're just as bad. You're all guilty. Whether you voted Conservative or chose not to vote, you allowed this to happen, and it's unfortunate. I guess I need to work on you folks. I need to fire you people up to the point that you will get off your fucking butt and get out there and vote one way or the other. I'm going to run in an election very soon. I've made that public, and vote for me would be nice. Vote against me would be fine too. I just want to make sure that people care, because right now it appears people don't. Anyways, this video is getting long, so I'm going to sign off. I got more to say on other topics, but those are for other videos. Anyway, get in touch if you got any comments. Actually, you know what? Very quickly, there's somebody commented on my blog. There's one other prominent no vote that requires attention here. Harold Albrecht is an MP behind Bill C279 some type of suicide prevention. Very hypocritical of you, Harold, to say you want to prevent suicides, but you don't support trans rights. 40% of trans people's lives end in suicide, and it's because of crap like this, where you won't give us human rights or health care or employment or housing. So shame on you too, Harold. We're going to have a talk. I'm going to email each and every one of these no people and basically demand some of their time. I don't know that I can physically meet them all, but I'd like to at least get them all on the phone for 5 minutes and try to make a human connection. Let them know that what their no vote really means and the damage it's doing. And I guess we're going to find out how ruthless these people really are. It is really unfortunate. Anyway, enough of that. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.